Hey, what's the crack? As I'm pretending now like we haven't been talking for half an hour beforehand, because that's what
Mhm.
podcasts do. They pretend like we just hit
Hey,
the call. Hey, what's happening?
hey, what's happening?
Everybody loves a bit of Jim. Everybody
Mm,
loves Jim. Many times returning. Are you drinking this evening? Are you on
I
a
am
hell?
not.
Are you
I am
not?
not. It's well, because I just got back. I was on holidays last week, so I was drinking every night and every day, really. And so now I was like, all right, I'm gonna take. I got back on Sunday. I'm just gonna wait until Friday. Just a week of look at this. Not only am I not drinking, I'm drinking water. It's got limes floating in it, man. I'm trying to get more vitamins everywhere I can.
Wow. Do you know what I need to bring you up? I need to bring you up like 5 liters of this stuff.
What is
It's
that?
um it's actual spring water. Actually out of a mountain.
Not like the brand spring water,
No, no, no,
like
no.
pulled from a spring.
Actually
Ah.
from rocks coming out of a mountain. Yeah. It makes if nothing else, right? If you go, oh yeah, okay. But the first thing is you won't smell, you can kind of smell. I'm not getting all, well, we can talk conspiracies in a minute, but all the stuff you can
Oh
smell
boy.
from water. But
Yeah, yeah, all
it
that stuff
makes,
they're putting in the water.
it makes unbelievable coffee. Yeah. It
Oh, I
makes
bet it
coffee
does.
way smoother for some reason. Well, we know the reason. There's no shit in
Yeah,
it. Now, there's probably a couple of, I don't know, maybe frogs' toes or something in it. There's definitely something floating at the bottom of it. I'm not sure what, but it, it's
it's
all right.
nutrients.
It's
You ever
all,
do the when you get a cup of coffee somewhere and the coffee sucks and it's bitter? You know that really shitty
yeah,
bitter
yeah,
taste?
yeah,
You
yeah.
know what fixes that?
Go
A
on.
little pinch of salt.
Do you know what? That's like a
I'm not kidding.
memory has come up from somewhere.
Yeah.
It's salt takes this, because you know what?
I don't know why. I don't know the chemicals, but it works.
Because well, I don't know what I got a disgusting coffee one time it was a well-to-do joint in Scotland.
Oh, I'm sure.
But and everybody else's coffee smelled great. I went, oh yeah, I'll get a coffee.
It's just the kid making it was asleep at the switch for 5 minutes. It
It was
happens.
it wasn't even. He went over and I should have specified, hey, I'll have a fucking flat white or an American. I just said a coffee, and he went straight to the glass fucking thing that's filtered.
Yeah, the filter coffee.
Well, that shit must have been filtered since the Tuesday beforehand, because it
That
was
just makes it better. That's the way coffee's supposed to be. That's what I have in my house. I got the drip filter from the New York cafe fishing. Top you off there, hun? Like that type of shit. That's what I got
you
because
just
that's coffee to me.
walking
The
around the
espresso
house with your
machines, no,
with
no,
your
no,
apron
no, no.
on, like
Yeah,
just with and a
yeah, yeah,
couple of
yeah.
pencils in your hair.
Yep, with those little ceramic mugs with the giant hoops on them. They don't actually hold that much coffee. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Sit
no,
down next to a murder homicide detective sitting there,
yeah.
just haunted by his own demons. Yeah, yeah, that kind
And
of
the
stuff.
food is always so quick in those fucking diner things, isn't it?
And the menu is an encyclopedia. They have everything. What do you want? You want eggs and lobster? We can do that. Like they have everything.
And would you like it in 44 seconds as
Mm.
well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
Well,
yep.
it was after while I drank that coffee, because it was during a meeting where I'm supposed to pay attention to everything that was being said to
Got
me.
it.
And so I drank said coffee. Every I milliliter made me want to crap my pants. Like, not even normal coffee kind of get things moving. Like,
Well,
oh, I'm drinking poison.
yeah. My body
And
hates this.
I can't remember who I said it to afterwards. I think it was one of my parents who were like, oh, you've put a grain of salt in. I'm like, well,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, thank you. Now I could have used that
thanks.
information 8 hours ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because quite literally, my body was telling me the truth. As soon as
Hmm.
that meeting ended,
Yep.
I had to go missing. But it was at the same time, are you the weirdo for going, hey, would you pass me the salt? They're like, yeah, yeah. And now you have to tell the whole story of salt in your
I
coffee.
mean, yeah, maybe. Just put salt in your coffee and give anybody the stink eye who wants to look at you. What? Fuck you. I'm not making you drink it.
True. True.
No.
So Jim,
Hmm.
you're from America, obviously.
Yep.
You literally have a
Have I not
coffee.
lost the accent yet?
You know what? You just sound like a 12-year-old Irish kid. That's what
Well,
you
that's
sound
the
like
thing.
right now.
I do. I will put on a little bit of an Irish twang on a Irish cadenced or sequence of words.
Yeah.
Like what I just said there. Have I not lost the accent? That's not an American thing.
No,
You
it's
would say,
not.
haven't I lost the accent yet?
Yeah.
Have you not? Have I not? That's an Irish thing. And whenever I put together an Irish sequence, there will be a little lilt of something in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
So the hot conspiracy at the minute is that they have found alien craft in Antarctica. I don't know why I jumped straight into that, but it was
Ooh,
a NASA bloke anyway. He was apparently the whistleblower, and he's saying, "Look at, I'm just saying," and I'm kind of going, "I'm all for this. I am all for this."
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. But like to me, until it matters, it doesn't matter.
No,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Until they're marching down O'Connell Street with guns, pulling a full Mars Attacks on it. Who cares? Oh, did you find an old shipwreck in Antarctica? Great. What am I supposed to do with that? Do I still have to go to work tomorrow? Because it sounds like I still have to go to work tomorrow. And if that's the case, then I don't care.
Jim just shits all over 90% of the
Yeah,
internet right now. We're going,
fucking
is it
shut
going
up.
to
Who
cost me money?
cares?
Is it going to cost me any? Oh, I don't care.
Does it matter? Let me turn the question around. Does it matter to you, Mr. Person blogging about this? Do you
Yeah,
still have to go to work tomorrow? What's
yeah.
going on? Are your kids still not talking to you, or is this going to be the thing that brings them back? What are we hoping for here?
Oh, I had a flat earther on the podcast one time, and
A
he had
for real flat earther?
all
Because I feel like half of those dudes are just doing it because it's nice to have a hobby, and you're
I
like, yeah, you know,
I do feel a lot of these guys, regardless, when they're so deep in, and then you find a bit out about them, they're scarred from something else. You know, that kind of
yes,
way. Yeah, and
yeah, this is because Jennifer left. That's what happened.
and I think Jennifer may have left this gentleman. Many
Mm-hmm,
Jennifers, I'd say, had left this
mm-hmm.
gentleman. But he was. Oh no, Jim, you have to watch this episode. You will, knowing me, right, trying to hold a straight face, because I went, do I go balls out at this guy? I don't want to, because they're harmless enough, Al Divils,
Yeah.
right?
So
It's
you
a
just hit him with the like, huh? I never
yeah.
thought about it that
And then
way.
every so often I'd hit him with like topographical
Yeah.
coming from my
Yeah.
background, I'd hit him with like topographical questions, and he'd go, "Yeah, but what you have, right?" And
Yeah.
but it turns out like he's big. This guy, he's actually big on. He approached me, but he's big on conspiracy. I've heard his name being mentioned of Joe Rogan and stuff. Like he's
Wow.
big, David
Okay.
Weiss. But his big thing was the wall. There's a big wall, Jim. There's a wall. There's a wall.
A wall where?
That's
Like
the
as a so we're a flat earth.
yeah.
There's a wall over it like a dome or
Now
like around like
he
this.
he couldn't say for certain that there was a dome, right?
Okay.
Because he couldn't. But there's definitely a wall there's a wall keeping us in like a biscuit tin, and above you, if you nobody can climb the ice, sure, and anybody that did, yeah, but sure, anybody that did, when they did climb the ice and they got across Antarctica, because you're not even allowed to fly over Antarctica now, or Arctica, whichever one, you're not allowed to fly over either one of them. And yeah, he basically said there's many more continents beyond that when you drop down off that
Oh,
wall on the far side. You know what I mean? So
but
it's a
we're
big
trapped here in our what was that Jim Carrey movie where he
yes,
was yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I
But
guess
we're just on our own little sound stage, but there's a bunch of other ones.
it's a bunch of other ones, and I was like, "Have we met?" And they were like, "No."
Nah, they won't let us meet.
Fuck it anyway. Like they could be really good looking over there. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could be or really ugly and make us feel good about ourselves, like the Shelbyville.
I
You know what I
imagine you
mean?
started thinking about rugby. I wonder if there's any fast guys we could put them on the wing. We'd have an advantage out here.
Are you a rugby? Because you're one of the, like I don't know, like as soon as an Ireland match or whatever will play, there's a handful of people that for some reason I seem to be the sounding board for memes
Yeah.
for
If
Peter
I see
O'Mahony.
anything funny about rugby, I'm not sending
Well,
it to anybody but you, dude.
it's Peter O'Mahony. Like Colin Geddes will immediately like fanboy out, like if he tries to kill somebody, and you're
Which
like
he does every time. He
there's
does
like two
every
other
time.
people that just immediately send me Peter O'Mahony memes of him choking somebody.
Yep. Yep. He's great. I would rather have like Suge Knight, or I'd rather have
Suge Knight.
Vladimir Putin mad at me. I would rather have both those dudes be like, fuck Jim Elliott than Peter O'Mahony. I'm terrified of that guy. I don't
He
ever want him to be mad at me at all.
and
That's
he sells it so well with the backstory as well, being so somber, like Thanos, like planting shit,
mm,
and you're like,
hmm
and with one click of his finger, he would destroy half the universe. Like
You don't pay any attention to basketball, do you?
I don't. They're far too
No.
tall.
The team from Denver just won the championship last night, but their best player and the best player in the league right now is a Serbian dude by the name of Nikola Jokic,
Oh
and they call him the
yes,
Joker. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But he gave all these hilarious interviews last night because they won the championship, and this is the first time Denver's ever won the championship, and so everybody's crying and hugging each other, and the coach is holding other players. Thank you for believing in me, coach. And he's like, "Oh, you did it yourself, kid." Like a real tears, and he's just stone faced like this. And then he has to give the interview afterwards. He's wearing the hat that says champs on it, and the people in the crowd are like, there's a great clip I'm sure you'll find on the internet. He goes, "Are you excited for the parade?" Because after you win a title, they have a parade through the town, right? And he goes, "Are you excited for the parade?" And he just looks at him and goes, "Parade." And he turns off stage and he looks to somebody who works for the team, and he's like, "What day is the parade?" And the guy goes, "Thursday." And he goes, "Oh, Thursday. I just want to go home." And then he goes into this rant because he just wants to go back to Serbia and hang out with his brothers and ride horses. That's all he wants to do. That's all he cares about. And he said that he was like, "Listen, I'm very proud of the team and of the organization. This is the goal of their job, but it's just a job. And there's more important things in the world. And also, everybody hates their job. So, I mean, maybe some people like their job, but they're lying." And I'm like, this guy, every other player, like you watch these Kobe documentaries where Kobe is like, basketball is everything. You never stop, and blah, blah, blah. And then Joker's like, "It's a living, it's fine." It'd be like trying to interview a builder after they finish building the hotel. Like, "How are you? Feeling good?" And he's like, "Well, it's 4:30. Do I have to stay or can I go now?" Like,
I
"Can I go
love
home?" It's great.
I
It's great.
love
He
it.
doesn't care. He's just stone faced.
But that's something I suppose in the West that we kind of forget about ourselves, isn't it? Like we think, oh my God, everything we think and do is what everybody does. And you meet lads from Kosovo and stuff, and they're like, no.
Yeah, this is a game, and I happen to be 6'11", so they signed me. But it beats digging ditches. But let's not go crazy here. Like,
That's the good thing, though, I have noticed about American sports is that, especially with football, I know that like the Patriots went on a run, like they fucking what did they get, a 5 in a row or something?
Something like that, yeah.
But there does seem to be a good variance, at least, of like in rugby, there's just 4. In European rugby, there's 4
well, you guys,
to
it's
6.
a real like the rich get richer type of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's almost impossible to conceive of how a smaller club would establish the infrastructure to compete with a Toulouse or a Munster or something. You know what I mean? To come out of nowhere. But they got all these things in American sports with salary caps, and you're only allowed to spend so much money.
Yeah.
And they take it so the worst teams in every league get the best shot at the best players coming out of college or the smaller leagues. So
Is that the way the draft works then? Right. So them boys, that's kind of class.
Like San Antonio was terrible. They've been terrible for 3 or 4 years, but this year they were legendarily terrible. And now they get the number 1 pick, so they're going to draft this 7'2" French guy who will be the biggest player in the league, but also the best shooter in the league. Like he's unstoppable right now. Well, we don't know. We've not seen him play in the league, but he's the most excited talent for years and years and years. And the worst team in the league gets him.
And so, how long will they hold on to him now? You know what I mean? Like, would they get they'll get a year out of
3 years. So they'll get at least 3 years. And then if they can convince him to stay and build a good infrastructure around him and convince him that this is your best chance for success. And also the team that drafts you can offer them more money than anyone else can. Not by much. Somebody else will offer you $400 million and they can offer you $420 million. So it's $20 million, but you've already got 400. So, but they do try to make it so like if you draft somebody, they make it easy for you to keep them.
Right. Yeah. It's purely money. Like, I mean, as you talk about it out of nowhere, like Raj brought La Rochelle from nothing to winning it twice. You know what I mean? But fucking Daddy Warbucks stood in too. It wasn't just now the French all have rakes of money. They've all got sugar daddies, like
because they're all owned by like oil billionaires, right?
Yeah. Billionaires or lads who own hair products from the 1800s. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's ludicrous. Like they go, okay, I will give you 2 more million for a player, but
so how did they convince? Because I remember when Sexton went over to France, but then he came back.
Yeah,
how did they make that worth his while? Or was that just he was like, I'm sick of living here. Fuck it, I'll go back.
I don't know how long you have to play in France, but there's a weird tax thing, right? If you play, like Simon Zebo is back in Munster and he's just having the time of his life because he ain't starting, but he's just fucking running riot at training.
He better not be having too much fun.
But yeah, but he no, he's about 17 children actually now. I think he's all settled down and all the rest of it. But yeah, boys, but he came back. He gets some sort of huge tax thing, like huge. He gets all his tax back that he paid in France.
Oh,
Yeah, once you play over 2 years, I think in France, there's kind of this bursary thing that's set aside for you for when you retire from rugby, and you get this fucking wedge.
oh
Like,
wow.
but like Sexton, the problem with Sexton was when they brought him over, they were like, Le Johnny, you will play every week. And I mean, fucking twice on Tuesdays. Okay, so
Yeah.
get the fuck out there, or we
And
will kill you.
knowing that you're the target and everybody's just trying to knock you out of the game.
And in France, like you could shoot a man on the field,
Yeah.
and possibly the cameras would not pick it up. Like they don't give a fuck in France. Like they don't give. I love their attitude. Like Bernard Jackman, who coached Grenoble on the podcast, and he was telling me
Yeah.
like day one, he went, "We're going right, guys. We're going fucking doing this." And fucking, we're gonna have this. And a fella like put him aside. He was like, "Mr. Bernard, I would shut the fuck up and just play. Just let them play." Like he was at the break in training.
Hmm.
He saw the fitness and the people putting out all the ready, thinking they were going to put out like pasta, for carbs just to fucking bust on through the day, thinking he was going to see fucking proteins and stuff like that and green beef because we're going to eat outside. It was a nice day. Not at all. There was fucking caviar. There was fucking salami, sausage. There was fucking baguettes. Lads were having a fag. And
Just a
maybe
complete. They're
a
still
little
smoking.
supple.
That's hilarious.
Little
I
supple
love a
wine.
professional athlete who still smokes, man. I think that's so funny.
Isn't it class? But
Yeah.
like some guys can pull it off, just still have the odd fag, like like just.
And the odds are good that they're going to be French if that's
Oh,
who's going to get away with it. Maybe the Italians.
definitely, yeah. But do you know what? In France too, they'll probably end up being really good at rugby, but still, just give it the.
Yeah,
What do you?
exactly.
And he was just told, there's nothing you can do. That you will not change their attitudes. Or you can. This is going to be a terrible fucking time for you. Just let them smoke their fags, have
That's
their baguette,
really funny.
and a sup of wine, and they'll get back to training afterwards. So relax. Oh, I love it. But
Good times.
But like that, it was money. Money is all you can throw at it. But I loved I never fully understood the draft, and I've watched enough programs and documentaries about American football, and basketball. Like, but
Yeah.
because
Everybody
they're sporting,
watched The Last Dance.
because they're sporting, you can't but be inspired by those psychopaths. Like, what I mean. But
I actually turned on a documentary last night, and I only watched the first episode of it, but I'm gonna watch the whole thing now because they sucked me in. It's on the Tour de France, and I have never paid attention to cycling,
really, other than the Icarus thing, I never
at all. No, I did. I watched that one but that wasn't about cycling. That was about drugs and spying and stuff.
True.
Like that, but this is I guess it's like a 6 or 7 episode thing that follows them through the Tour de France, and the way they set it up, where they're different rival clubs, and then the different dramatic stories within the clubs. Like this club, his stud had a crash 2 years ago where he broke every bone in his face, and now he's back for the first time, but people don't believe in him, and how they pick him. I don't. Probably should have looked up the name of it before I started this rant, but it's on Netflix, and it's how many Tour de France documentaries could there possibly be?
It's one of the first ones that kept on popping up, even on like my channel will have clandestine carry on and whatnot.
It's worth
Natasha's
checking out,
channel, which has a lot of house programs and whatnot. Horror Netflix.
Hey man, we just finished the new Bridgerton too, so I'm all over the map.
Yeah,
I'm all over the map. I'm watching all of it. Did you watch Bridgerton?
I couldn't sit through it, to be honest. I was still on the flip of coming off the back end of Downton Abbey.
This is so much better than Downton Abbey.
I know doubt.
Making fun of these people. It's great.
I'd no doubt, and I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, there's fucking too much British things in my life now. I'll come back to it. I got you.
Do
you know what I mean? It was like, oh, Jesus Christ.
There's a limit to how much Britishness you can take.
Can we just go watch something American or fucking Australian or something for now? Like, can we please? Christ almighty. Like, but it looked, and the fact that they had the girl from Derry Girls in it. I was going to watch it purely on because she's very funny. Isn't she? She's from Cork, I think, originally.
You got me, but I'm sure you're right.
The blondie little funny one.
Yeah.
And for that, I was going to watch it, but then No, it was just too much Britishness, and Downton Abbey that had burnt me out.
Downton Abbey was one that by the end of, I don't even think we finished. I don't even think we got it halfway through the last season because we realized that they were on such a form. They had this happens to a lot of TV shows. They had a great plot for the first season. They had a well-structured plot with
Yeah.
different lines coming through, and they did not think they were going to get renewed. So they never wrote anything.
They shot their shot. Yeah, yeah.
And then they
yeah,
do
yeah.
great, and the company and Netflix is like, all right, here's money, here's 4 more seasons of this, and they're just pulling shit out of the air to try to make a show about it. So after a while, every single episode of Downton Abbey, the first 10 minutes were something's wrong and we're gonna lose the Abbey. We're gonna have to sell. Either it's a shipwreck or a landslide or a plague or a revolt or a whatever, but there's something wrong. And then we're all worried about it. And then 2 minutes before the end of the episode, it just gets solved because somebody who we've never seen before walks in and goes, old Grandpa Charlie, who you never heard about, died and left us money, and now we're fine. On to the next episode. So it got to be like an episode of Cheers.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like it was just this. I was like, this is a sitcom plot on an hour-long thing with a big movie budget. Like, what the hell are we talking about out here? But
yeah, the disappointment when I talk about big budget things. I went to because you were Game of Thrones too, were you?
we watched the first season and then we watched the second season, and we got 3 episodes in, and like, because I have no attention span, we paused and got some drinks, and as we're sitting down to settle back in, Lisa goes, I don't care about any of these people. And I was like, oh, thank God, me neither. I don't give a shit what happens to any of them. The only person I care about is the baby dragon. Like, so I would dip in and out and watch like an episode if it was dragon heavy, because I like watching dragons fly around and beat people up. But
I could have done
give
with
a crap.
10 minutes of an episode of each one. Just move me on. Because the thing is, I'd read the books as a child. So that was the only thing that I stayed with. I went, but the books are very good. Will we? And it got increasingly worse. It was like, oh. And by the time they got to the end, you're like, oh, fine, we're grand.
I did enjoy watching, because I'm a very online person. I did enjoy watching the meltdowns that the fans had, how upset everybody was at how shite the ending was. And what's really funny about it is that the ending was so bad that it collectively scrubbed from memory how good it was before that.
Yeah,
because it was like a cultural powerhouse, to the extent that you could people with comics were dropping Game of Thrones references into bits that had nothing to do with Game of Thrones. Like any promo for a new dishwashing liquid would be like dragons and swords. Like it was really setting the tone, but it was so bad that immediately stopped. And everybody dropped it. So,
I couldn't, to be honest with you, the way it ended, I was like, oh yeah, what else could the boys do at that stage? You'd run out of ideas.
Burn it all up.
What could you do at that stage? That's exactly what I would do. I would go, we've made our money, haven't we?
Yeah,
and they want to do a couple of spin-offs. Grant.
We have to force them to not be able to renew the show. How do we do it? Kill everybody. Let's make like it's the end of a Shakespearean tragedy and everybody's dead.
Yeah, because they had the spin-off and I lasted half an episode. And literally was like that. Natasha and myself were watching. She was like, God, I'd sooner run into that wall. I'm like, yeah, this is beyond. This now is, I felt like an old guy in a youthful bar. Do you know you're going, dude?
Yes.
Pack it in.
Oh, dude, there's a Tipperary bar on Camden Street, Ryan's.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things to do is to sit in a bar by myself and drink about 3 pints and read a book.
Delicious.
Absolutely. And that's a gorgeous bar, beautiful bar to do it in.
Yeah.
But for the first, since living where I live pretty close to Camden Street, and September, October, November, I can't do that in there. Yeah. Because I come in around 5, I sit down, I find a seat and a nice place, and then the place fills up with 17 and 18-year-olds who are up to go to UCD.
Yeah.
And for a half a minute, I'm like, oh, cool. Young people. They're like me. Because when I walked into the pub, I was the young guy.
Yeah.
Because everybody else there is 60 years old and they're reading racing posts and they're watching the horses on TV. And I'm like, look at these guys. None of them knows how to use their phone. And then I read my book and I see these kids come in. And I'm like, okay, cool, kids. All right, great. I might get another pint, but first I'm going to go to the bathroom. And you go in and you look at yourself in the mirror and you go, oh God. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here before one of these kids is like, "Sir, do you know a lawyer I could
Oh
like?"
my
Oh
God,
God,
yeah.
I gotta. Yeah, no, these people are not for
You
me.
can blame
But
the
during
two,
the summertime, they're all out of there. It becomes a lovely pub again.
you can blame the two Johnnies for that because they make reference to it all the time. Like, and
Is
that's
that
why.
what? Because that
That's
only
what's
started
happening.
happening.
Yeah, that's and
Those
now it.
sons of bitches.
And you know what's do you know what's hilarious? I was in there. I was doing a show in Whelan's one time,
Mm,
and
it's right next to it.
I used to like popping in there.
Yeah.
But I never really because again I used to live just over the road from where you are
Yep. Yep.
now,
Yep. I remember.
and I was in there and I went in with a mate of mine, Morgan, and he's from Tipperary. He went, "This Tipperary bar." I went, "Morgan, every second fucking bar around here is Tipperary. It seems to be a thing to nail your cut." I said, "What's the betting? The owners aren't even from Tip." And I said it to your man
Ooh.
behind the counter. I went, do you own the place?" He went, "Yeah, well, it's the wife's originally." And yeah. I went, "You from Tip?" He went, "Nah, it's the wife." Nah. I went, "Why are you doing the whole Tip thing?" He goes, "It makes money. It's a thing." To the
It's like,
it's like
I'm from Vienna. I'm a
yeah.
poet. But I met this girl.
What about the hurling up the Premier? I'm like, what the
Yes.
but I think her family, but they just hung on to the whole Tipperary vibe because for some reason, when you look at it, there's a fucking rake of them. There's when you actually, this should be an investigation for you because you are around town.
Yeah.
There, start in Chaplains. Remember there used to be a comedy club
Yeah.
in
Yeah. Yeah.
Chaplains? Start there
Yeah.
and they will tell you. They'll name them all out for you. Because I was in
Because Chaplains, I always remember Chaplains was such a not to use the pejorative term, but it was such a culty bar
mm,
that the Sam McGuire would pass through there, and I forget the name of the one for the hurling.
Liam
What's the
McCarthy.
yeah, the Liam McCarthy. Those cups were passing through there so often that I saw them once or twice, and I was like, I'm not a fan. I mean, I'm kind of a fan, but I'm not a fan enough for this to be as big a deal as it should. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? Because it's not that nice a bar. It's
No,
fine, but it's
grumpy
nothing
old
special.
bastards. Yeah.
Yeah. And but so what the hell are people doing bringing this stuff in here? But you telling me that they are down country legends
Yeah.
of a pub and an established place. But that makes sense because people come up to Dublin and they need to know where to go.
Mm-hmm.
So they talk to people in
Yeah.
their hometown before they leave. They're like, all right, well, where should I go for it? And they're like, Ryan's or Chaplin's. Like these, they're not experimental type of people. They're not going to walk by somewhere and go, I've never heard of this. Let's give it a shot. Maybe they've got a lovely portobello mushroom burger I can try.
This is the thing. I guarantee you there are places that have no affiliation whatsoever. But are like, hey, whoa, we just want to make some money. So,
yeah,
because because what struck me was I saw a poster in the toilet before heading upstairs to the club, and I went the Dublin. Wait, I get this right. The Tipperary Dublin Pub Owners Association, right? I went, what the fuck does? And they were having like a golf society day. I'm like, so I barely had ever spoken to the man behind the bar, and I went, there. And he kind of, because he'd always been rude to me. But I went, what's the crack with the? And he heard my accent, and he was like, "You're from Tip." I went, I am from Tip, yeah. He went, oh. So I
You gave him
explained,
the Stonecutter's handshake like Homer
yes,
did, and then
yeah. But because I was enunciating my words, because I had a better attitude than he had, to be fair, more than anything, he was just grumpy. But he kind of filled me in. And then Trey's Ryan,
yeah.
her dad is fucking owns the halfpenny, And she went, oh, did you not know about that? Oh, that's a big thing. Like literally, it was a set thing in the 50s that if you didn't get the farm, you didn't get sent teaching, you didn't go into something civil service or the priesthood.
Yeah.
You
Up
just
to Dublin, work in somebody's pub.
exactly, and don't come back till you fucking own one. Basically, sure. I remember talking with Mick, and he literally did not know there was to have a day off in 7 years. His first, because they worked him that hard, 7 days a week, including Christmas days, because that would be the day you deep clean the bar.
Right.
And there might be a couple of sneaky pints as well. And he worked 7 years straight before somebody went, you should probably go down home.
No wonder he's such a grumpy bastard. Dude.
Yeah. But no wonder he's so wealthy. God. No wonder he's so wealthy.
Yeah.
But it seems
if that's what it takes, man, I'm never going to be wealthy. I don't have that drive in me. I don't have it. I like a weekend, man.
Yeah. Where were you on holidays? Again, Jim, you need to do a travel blog podcast of some sort. There is nowhere in the world.
we got no kids, and it's like it's what we like to do. So we were in Greece. We were in Santorini.
Nice.
We'll see if we can get an Aer Lingus sponsorship on this. Did you know that Aer Lingus now have direct flights from Dublin straight to Santorini? These sunny isles of Greece can be yours for one 3.5 hour flight, no stopovers. Aer Lingus, Dublin to Santorini, 5 times a week.
I'm sold. I'm sold. I want to go to
Dude, you should
Greece.
go.
I want to go to Greece because I have no interest in Spain's or Portugal's. I'm sure they're lovely, but I want to go to
What's wrong
Greece.
with Greece is incredible.
I don't know why.
Got
You know when you have something in your head, you're like, Greece just looks lovely. It
it.
just looks
You're
lovely.
not wrong. You're not wrong. So okay, so we're on the island of Santorini, and if you know what it is, it's one of your Windows backgrounds when you start your computer. That's how pretty it is.
Yes,
It's
Christ,
got all the towns are built into the side of the cliffs, and they're all painted white. And there's a couple of tiny little churches with domes, and the domes are all painted bright blue. It's built for Instagram.
Oh God, yeah.
They must have tripled their tourist budget since Instagram came out, because some of the streets with the perfect little view where the houses all line up, and then there's the dome, and you could stand like this. Those were pretty crowded, but outside of that, it wasn't bad at all, because it's kind of early in the year. You know what I mean? A lot of people are still dealing with schools and families and crap. But it was gorgeous. It was gorgeous. We had a taxi guy tell me that the reason the buildings are all white. Now, he could have been bullshitting me. I'll believe it. I don't care. It's a good story. But the story is that during the plague, not the one that you and I lived through, the original one, they figured out that if you lime washed all the walls, then that would make it a bit cleaner and halt the spread of disease, or at least that's what they believe. So they did that. They lime washed all the walls, and then every British tourist and everybody went back to France is like, you wouldn't believe this town. It's beautiful, and the sun sets, and the buildings are all painted bright white. They're all painted bright white, and so it just looks incredible with the sunset, and they all turn pink. And then they realize, oh my God, we're onto a winner here, like your fake country pub.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, by order of whatever government it is, if you own a building in this town and it's ever not bright white, we are taking it from you. So that's it. You keep it clean, you keep it spotless. It must be like, I can't imagine how often they have to paint those things. It's like that thing with the Golden Gate Bridge, how they never stop painting it. They just start at one end and they paint it, and it takes them a year to paint it. So then they start it again and they just paint it. They're just constantly painting the Golden Gate Bridge to keep it red.
Well, I remember whitewashing my grandparents' farm walls. They were always, and at least twice a year it would need it. But this stuff, like, because it was lime, it was essentially like a cement in its own right.
Yeah.
I think walls actually got stronger as a result of it, because it would like.
I guess it's going to build up like way
truck.
more than paint would.
Oh, wait, well, like this was a truck or something. I think it must have been a truck, like hit off a wall one time, and I can remember it was like 1.5 inches thick of this lime wash paint. Like, oh, you can just build a shitty wall with next to no mortar
twice a year.
Before you know it, decade later, you've actually got a decent wall with a structure, actually some load bearing capacity. Right.
I think I stayed in an apartment in Dublin when I first moved there, where the builders took that attitude, but with wallpaper. They were like, if we keep putting more wallpaper on this bastard, then we won't need to install heating, because it'll just sweat.
Yeah, you do wonder what Dublin has in that Santorini has. You're like, well, come to Dublin. No, come to Santorini. Oh, I think I'll go to Dublin. It's got so much more.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you're somewhere like that and you come back to Dublin, I love Dublin. I absolutely love living here. When I'm away from Dublin for too long, I actually miss it. You know what I mean? Which is, I remember the first time that happened, I was on a 2-week trip, business thing, to San Francisco and then off somewhere else. And halfway through, I was like, God, I'd love to walk down a damp street and go to a pub. Like, I was having a great time, but I missed it. But then this time we get back from Dublin, and we flew in. So we arrive at 2:30 in the morning on Sunday morning. So everybody's still out. And it's just a taxi to get home. I'm like, the garbage is piled up and everybody's hammered. And I was like, ugh, Christ. If we'd have gotten home, it's 3 hours later, it would have been fine. Would have been quiet. Like, the seagulls, but we drove right through the carnage of the town to get home. Ugh.
It's funny. Like I did like 2 gigs on 2 different weekends, and I did a gig up, it was a corporate that paid really well. So that kind of brightens your outlook, right? But it was just off of William Street. So I parked in the Drury Street car park.
Okay.
I know it. Parking space right there. And trouble-free. Walked out. A lot of haze again. It's everywhere. Like a lot of people who think they're on Selling Sunset, like you're kind of
Yeah.
going, Relax, lads. It's still fucking Ireland. But at the same time, okay, I get you. But put some socks on for the Christ's sake and stop rolling up your trousers. You're not fucking, you're 30 odd. Come on
Dude,
now.
have you seen the socks that you wear when you want to make it look like you're not wearing socks?
Oh, I have you. I have,
And
Jim.
it's
They
just
infuriate me.
it's 5 toes and it goes about halfway up the arch and it stops there. It's so funny.
Natasha bought them for me like a couple of years ago. She's like,
What, as a gag?
I think I think sometimes she buys me things. She's like, he'll either get angry at this, which is also funny,
That
or
is funny.
maybe
Or he might use it.
he might use it. And she bought me these socks, and I'm like, clearly, I thought they were for my child. I'm like, yeah, he doesn't need socks yet. He's all right. It's like one.
Yeah.
She's like, no, they're for you. I'm like, in what fucking universe do I put these on? She's like, oh no, they finish right below the top of your trainer, and I will suffer chafing, woman. This is not. No. Once I pass like the 21 mark, that shit goes out the window. Now I have to wear my clothes angry and sore. I cannot venture into this world.
Dude, I was talking about that with somebody where country guys have a real rigorous application of discipline when it comes to their dress codes. They don't take no new ideas. You get looked at weird if you wear sunglasses down the country. They're like, you should just squint.
Yeah.
Like this.
The fuck's wrong with you? The fuck's wrong with you? You're setting yourself up for a fall. As soon as they outlaw sunglasses,
sometimes
as
you
soon
can
as
put on sunglasses.
like 12 days of the year, like as soon as they outlaw sunglasses, Jim, where'll you be then? You won't be used to squinting.
Who's gonna outlaw?
Oh, Jim, you've seen enough crazy stuff over the last 2 years. If they come after our sunglasses,
Come after the sunglasses. I have a conspiracy theory that I like that nobody on your podcast is going to get. I don't know even why I brought it up. Michael Jordan is Jimmy Butler's father, secretly. Jimmy Butler plays for the Heat. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Here's one that you might that I do like. There's a conspiracy theory that I like a lot. Butthead is Beavis's father.
Wow.
Because they live in Beavis's house. And Butthead's always calling his mom a slut. They never establish how old they are. The teachers seem to be more familiar with Butthead in the school than they are with Beavis. Like when Beavis kicks off, they're like, what's wrong with you? When Butthead kicks off, they're like, oh, Butthead, knock it off. And Butthead does imply sometimes that he's gotten laid before. And Beavis obviously never has.
If I was to believe either two was after getting laid, it definitely was. Yeah, it's definitely Butthead. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't know that he's not older than him. He's wearing an AC/DC shirt that predates Beavis's Metallica shirt by a lot.
Oh, it does. Yeah, older gentlemen would be into it more than that. Wow, that's. I think it's not even a conspiracy anymore. I'm 100% chips across the table, all in on that one, Jim. There's not. Anyway, for our 90s kids out there. But you know what? You're being harsh on the country guys. There's real country lads, and they normally come from down the north more than anything, and they're the ones who latch. They latch. Like I don't mind wearing shorts in public. It's the silliness of the socks. It's like, come on, just wear comfortable flip flops or something. Like it's just what are you doing? Do you want to like how fast do you think you need to be going? Like just it's. If you need to alter your socks, you're like, come on.
There's a fun part in every dude's life, and it's between like 18 and 24, where you just pick up little affectations of stuff to be like, am I gonna be a fedora guy? Am I a fedora guy?
I think
you know what I mean. And maybe you even buy one and you put it on, and you're like, I'm gonna wear this, and you try it out amongst a group of people you don't know. You go into a bar where you don't know anybody, and you're like, this is normal, right? I'm just a guy who wears fedoras. I never did full fedora. I mean, I did buy one, and I wore it for about a month, and I was like, this is stupid.
I wore a waistcoat once, and you gave me shit about it.
It was cool looking.
I know it was cool, but you gave me a load of shit about it. So I was like, I was right about this waistcoat. Leave it at home.
I tried to play this back when I smoked. I used to think I was going to be a Zippo guy for a little while. Because there's lighter guys and then there's Zippo guys.
Yeah.
The Zippo's fun if you got ADD like me, because it does give you a little thing to play with. And you can learn little like tricks to pop it open and stuff like that. So that's kind of fun. But even that, I was like, dude, who do you think you are? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, you're not even really a smoker. So that was an affectation to begin with. To layer on on top of it, you're not a
I
detective.
I get a little bit suspicious when I meet blokes they're that guy. You're like,
Mm,
what? God, how empty is your life that you
it looks like
just,
a lot of work.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you're that guy. Like if I had to wear the socks, I'm like, all right, if I gotta wear it, like if it's, yeah, okay. But it's not that I'm going, absolutely. I just thought they were the most hilarious that they looked like children's socks.
Hmm.
And you know, your entire life, Jimmy, you've pulled on a t-shirt. If that t-shirt stopped just underneath your tits, which is what the socks were doing to me. They stopped at the bony bit of my ankle. It was like, no,
I
they
don't know,
need to
dude.
come
You watch
and
movies from the 70s, dudes were wearing those.
yeah, but
Dudes were wearing crop top shirts.
I'm sure. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure they were. I'm sure they were,
You're
Jim.
looking nice and svelte, man. How's your six pack looking? If
Oh,
it
it's
looked
fine.
great, would
I don't care,
wouldn't you
Jim.
want to wear?
If I'm shredded six
Yeah.
pack, I'm still not stopping short. Get that fucking shirt down.
Ah.
No, it just come. There comes a time when a man. I'm over 40 years old, Jim. I can't be.
So
You
am I. I'm
can't be doing that.
43.
You can't be doing that shit. You can't.
Dude, it was so hot outside today. I was walking around outside like I have a bunch of basketball jerseys. I was walking around outside my house in a basketball jersey, and a bare shoulder on a man is something that in Ireland is a little iffy. It's a little touchy.
Little risque.
It's a little risque. It's
Is-
risque, not in a sexy way, but in like a classist way.
Oh
You
yeah.
know?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, is this
Yeah.
guy gonna steal the radio out of my car? And I'm like, fuck you. This is a vintage Patrick Ewing jersey from the New York Knicks in 1994. Okay. This is
Yeah.
a
But
real thing.
the fact that you could buy that replica jersey in War Street like
You
doesn't
could
do
buy
you.
the replica
Yeah.
jersey, but that's not what I have. If you
Yeah.
were a person of low character.
Do you know what? There are probably enough people in Ireland nowadays who have I don't know how or why, but they've adhered themselves so maybe it's from their early childhood have been ignored and only left with the television. But we
Hmm.
talked about like people's accents. There are those people that had 12-year-old American accents are now in their 30s and 40s, have adhered themselves so
Hmm.
hard to being American. Like they know, like they get so caught up with American politics. You're like, yeah, but you don't know
Yes.
you don't even know who your local minister is. What's that
That
about?
is ridiculous to me. Like,
Isn't that
especially that was the
hilarious?
worst thing about Trump was well, that was not the worst thing about Trump, but that was a particularly local annoyance thing because it made a lot of people pay attention. So much so that people were like, "Are you following the fourth representative's race out of the state of Delaware?" And I'm like, "No. Why the hell would I? It does none of this
Oh, I know
matters."
people who
Yeah,
went to America and everything like to celebrate Biden's inauguration. I'm like, what?
yeah,
Oh, could you not have done it at home, you mad
yeah.
fuck?
You could have done it at home.
I
You
it's
could have
it
done it at home.
and it but it's this like there's a whole family I know and they've gone so deep into like the Seahawks. They've
Do
gone
they have? Is the mom or dad from? Are they
not at
immigrants?
all, not at all.
Huh.
Dublin, like, and they're so in. But they talk about Joe like they know him. Like, but sure, Joe doesn't know Joe. What are you fucking talking about, for Christ's sake? And they go like, oh my god, but what if? And they'd start naming like things about the kind of sort of stuff you get brought on news talk to talk
Yep,
about primaries
exactly.
and stuff like that and the
Oh, dude, I
collegiate
love it.
vote. Like
I gotta call them and tell them we need to start up the political machine again.
it's oh, and you're going, but at the same time, they've just raised our fucking taxes. Have you
Yeah,
have you any
you got any
intro
opinions about that?
and that? No, no.
There's several crises going on in Ireland at the time. You got an opinion on the hospital bed shortage or the housing shortage? Either? Yeah, anything?
No, no, because it's not glamorous. You see,
Mm.
that's the problem. It's not glamorous. Do you know what I mean? You got people with names like yours or people you grew up with, like Dara Murphy is it? And you're like, no, I need
Ah.
somebody with a Skazowski at the end of their
I
name or
always
a,
kind of like because I've been posting a bunch of yeah, look at me up online, Jim Elliott comedy. I'm on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and all that crap. And I have been recently because I do follow politics and I follow Irish politics and I've been writing jokes
yeah.
about Enoch Burke and about every time there's a new housing scandal. Dude, if you work in government and you haven't declared all your rental incomes yet, they're coming for you. What's the matter with you? Anyway, but I'll do jokes about that and then I'll post them online and they'll get a little bit of traction sometimes because the people that are into political humor love
Mm.
that there's somebody making fun of Irish politicians. But I had a theory. I was like, how come I don't know any other Irish comic that will sit down and go out of their way to write material about, like when Leo got caught making out with some dude in a club.
Yeah.
Nobody else had a joke about that. I'm like,
Nah.
nobody's going to write a joke about that? That's hilarious. My theory is that because Ireland's so small, everybody knows somebody that's somehow related to that guy. And so like, well, I don't want to be making fun of poor Steve's brother-in-law. Then Steve will feel bad. You know what I mean? Like your circle is too small and you don't
You're
want to
probably
be seen to make fun of people.
you're probably nicer about it than I am,
Ah,
and probably closer to the to correct. But because my whole thing is that I don't know, since kind of we joined the EU and everything, we've just been little brother. We've just been little brother and told what to do, patted on the fucking head. But and
what
let's
are you
be
talking about?
honest,
You guys
in our
control your own destiny.
yeah, yeah, we do, yeah, yeah. Anyway,
I
we
mean, to
haven't.
the extent that anybody does, we're all under the auspices of the almighty dollar. Like,
It's
and by
true.
dollar, I just mean all of the money. It's the big speech from the end of Network. When's the last time you saw
Yes,
the movie Network?
that was a good movie.
There are no nations, there are no countries, there is no West, there are no Arabs. There is only money. One multivariate and systemic oligarchy of dollars, petrodollars, shekels, pounds, and yen. And that's it.
Yeah,
I love that film.
it's it. You know what it is? But that's I do think there's that Irish people have never paid heavily to it. Again, it hasn't been glamorized, but I guarantee people here know more about what's going on in the UK.
Probably.
It's just for whatever reason, it's around the clock on your phone or on Sky News or whatever. It's on, on,
Mm-hmm.
on. You'll get a brief rundown on politics, the news here in Ireland, and that's it.
Hmm.
But you know what I mean? It's just skewed one way or the other. You know, I mean, but for some reason, Irish people have never seen a glamorous side to it. They were like, yeah, yeah, fucking fine. Now I say Irish people,
Good.
not all, not
Not
all.
all.
I think we just care more about sports.
Yeah. I mean, political nerds are like, I'm from Washington, D.C. And so I
yeah,
followed it because it's in the air there. But then you meet somebody who, like, I moved here from Nebraska because I wanted to be close to the, like, dude, I have to follow this stuff. Like, what's your excuse? You were a place with actual culture. I remember when a friend of mine moved to San Francisco. He was my best friend, and when he came back like a couple months after being there, we went out for a beer, and I was like, "What's it like out there, man?" He goes, "Dude, nobody else talks about politics. Nobody gives a shit. We're the only city in America that talks like this. Everybody else talks about the movies or TV or sports or stuff. And only us idiots are sitting around going, that treasury bill will never pass. The debt ceiling's too close, blah, 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 blah." And he's like, we're 22. Why are we talking like this?
that's
Neither of us work in
hilarious.
it. Neither of our fathers are senators. Like, we should be talking about how to get laid. What's the matter with us?
Do you know
So
I think there's a lot of stories to be told from it. Maybe that's why there's so much. Maybe it gets so much traction here because there's a lot of like there's nothing to be told in the way of culture in Nebraska. You'll almost never watch a
maybe.
program, but there's a
Yeah.
fucking there's a TV show being written every week.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
in politics in America, in Washington. So you're like,
Mm.
oh yeah, and it just keeps on getting funneled. And you know what I mean? You throw in a CIA fucking lick of paint on it, and you're like, of course. I
Yep.
mean, yeah, no
Why
problem,
not?
fine. Now I have an interest. Like I don't know what something popped up. It was a role in government popped up in a TV show I was about a month ago, and I had to catch myself. I went, and it was like the chief of staff.
Yeah.
You know, somebody just went, it's the chief of staff. You know, it was one of these, and I explained it to myself who the chief of staff at the time of. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Shut up, Tom. You don't even know. Stop it. Stop.
You don't know
Jesus.
and you're not supposed to know. The only person that's supposed to know is the staff. The
Yeah.
chief, they'll know who the chief is, and that's it.
But what makes me laugh is like you'll hear like people bitching about it or whatever, and it's all and like I get questions on the podcast about American politics and stuff, and I'm kind of going, do you think there's one single American gives one fuck about
Yeah.
the
But what
only
a
thing
guy in Tipperary says.
also the only thing that I've seen pop up in American news of late is the culling of 200,000 cattle that has been proposed in Ireland, like which is kind of insane. Like
Is there a foot and mouth outbreak? Why do they want to
no,
kill that man?
because they're being told by Europe that yeah, it will reduce CO2 and the world will be a better place, Jim.
I mean, they're not wrong.
They
Like,
are
cattle
wrong, Jim.
fart a lot.
They do. But here's and this is an argument I actually had with I'd be a low level politician close by, and he was kind of going, well, do you know And he was kind of talking on behalf of the farmers. Like, we did fucking leave a lot of methane. Has there ever been a test on what envelops methane? What takes in methane? What's really strives by
He
taking
doesn't
on?
know the answer to that question.
And he went, and he was looking at me. He's like, "What? You're talking about this bill has been passed from countries that have huge feedlots. Yes, huge feedlots like France and Spain, and
Yeah.
Germany. But what do we have here? Where do our cows mostly eat? Fields? Where? In the countryside.
Yeah.
Guess what does really well on methane? Grass and trees. Really well. Have you measured how much methane a hectare of grass can pull in? First, and he was looking at me like, why would you throw all these algorithms at me? Oh, no. Look,
So I
just
guess
saying. Maybe
so I guess
stand up.
you haven't tried the new McPlant, huh?
I haven't. I do.
I haven't. I
I,
will.
I will. I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
I draw a line at the lab made meat. I'll go. No, I'll just go veggie if we're okay. We're all
Yeah,
right.
I got no problem with it. Have
I'll
you
give
heard
it.
somebody just made lab made milk. I was reading about it.
I suppose that's not too
Dude,
far off. The
why
like
not?
meat would be tough to make. Like there's
Why
a lot
not?
in
I
that.
don't care. You see what, like, I like to eat fish, and then you find out what a fish farm actually looks like, and you're like, oh, I guess I'm not the pickiest eater that I thought I was. Sure, if you can make it at least even close to what it tastes like, fine.
Jim, for anybody wondering, Jim once said to me, if like you will never get Jim on a hard line anything to do with food. Jim once said to me, if I could just get it all done in the morning time with a pill.
If I could eat a 3,000 calorie pill every morning, I would
If
eat
I
the
could just get it
3,000
out of the
calorie pill.
fucking way with a fucking pill, Tom.
You've seen all those what do they call them, Huel, and there's all kinds of powders that they make, or liquids that they're looking for people like me. They're trying to be like, if food's not very important to you and you don't care and you just want the nutrition and you're sick of the rigmarole, do this. And so I looked at it, I was like, ooh, maybe I'm close to my pill dream. And it's not it. What that is they give you 3 liters of sludge, and you got to drink the sludge. I'm like, well, that's worse than the system I have now, dude.
Well,
Just let me eat my sandwiches. That's fine.
you get rid
So,
of you don't need teeth. That's the only thing you
no.
can get on with it. Like, but it's
No
yeah. I
teeth.
mean, it's I eat quite a fair bit of veggie. We've
Yeah,
been
good.
we've been growing. You see that this is the thing is much more interesting when you grow your own couple of carrots.
Oh my
and
God. And
spuds
it's
and
so
stuff.
much better.
Oh,
It just tastes so much better. Like, Lisa and I have been eating the strawberries like mad because we kind of wait for summer.
yeah.
For the Irish summertime, because you can get strawberries in December, but they're shipped in from South Africa and they're not great.
Yeah,
But
the strawberries. Yeah.
oh, dude, the strawberries, the Wexford, or is it Waterford? I
That's
don't know.
Wexford.
One of them. The
Wexford.
Wexford strawberries in the summertime. It's one of the best goddamn things. And I sound like a lunatic when I talk to people back home, because I'm like, no, you don't understand.
Yeah.
It tastes like nothing you've ever had. It explodes in your face like a porn film. It's incredible. It's just the best, and they just are wonderful. They're wonderful. So yeah, if you're growing your own vegetables, I bet a pepper comes out of your garden tastes so much better than a pepper from somewhere else, or a tomato or something.
I never even considered about the pepper thing, and they've just come up this year. And you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, what the fuck have I been eating? And
Yeah.
I've been trying to eat, like there's an organic farm co-op near us,
Nice.
in a town about 10 miles away. So I've been trying to buy from these guys, albeit it's kind of expensive. But yeah, tried to do them a turn. They're trying to make a few quid, and stuff does taste good. But they had peppers and stuff, and even at that, it was like, oh yeah. But he would have had them, or she would have had them maybe a fucking week. You eat one of those fucking things straight off the fucking vine.
Yeah, you eat it like an apple.
Yeah,
Just
I know
yeah.
it's ridiculous, like everything. But it's funny how far gone people are, because I had raw milk for the first time in months. No, sorry, first time in years.
I don't think I've ever had raw milk.
It's going to go one of two ways for you, Jim. Either you'll go, no, let's go back to the other, or what the fuck have I been drinking?
What have I been drinking? You bastards have been holding out on me.
It's astronomically good, and it wasn't like in my head I almost turned into Christopher Robin. I remember my country childhood. No, it was just Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm gonna have that in a glass, and then I'm gonna have it with coffee. I test everything with coffee. If it can do you right by coffee.
I drink my coffee black, man. I just buy I do buy nice beans, and I have a grinder. That's really and you once you have a grinder, you don't even have to buy nice beans. As
No.
long as you're not buying ground coffee,
Yeah.
that's the only real
Well,
difference.
it's the
And
fresh.
grinders are cheap.
It's the freshness of it again, like, isn't it?
Exactly. As soon
Yeah,
as you
yeah.
grind it up and expose it to oxygen, it's starting to turn on you. So,
But
but
it's funny. I was talking with a guy. He's from Croatia the other day, and he comes from a
okay.
great village, great sounding village. In that what they did was, and they still to this day they're very cooperative. It hasn't been
Hmm.
overrun by a
Capital.
Europe capital. It really hasn't.
Yeah.
Which
We'll get
every
there. Don't you worry about
oh,
us.
we'll get him,
We'll get
we'll
there.
get him. When he said it
He's on the
immediately, I was
list.
like, I need to ring somebody about this because he was saying like his mother still has bees and harvests honey, and they actually have a collective co-op. This guy goes around. One of them, like say there's 10 of them. Jim,
Yeah.
you're on the truck this week, so you
Hmm.
take your truck, collect everybody's honey. Tom will do it the following week, and I collect everybody. And they sell it then and jar it up. Like in the way he was
Yeah.
describing and his upbringing and stuff like that.
Dude, I bet the lifespan there, the average lifespan is like 110.
I think yeah, I guess so. Like he said himself, like he kind of blew up, got quite fat when he moved here. It's like, yeah, I got pretty fucking fat here. And he says, it's unbelievable how lazy you can get when things are easy. I'm like, Jesus, don't go to
Yeah.
America. Look at hell
Dude.
if you think it's convenient here.
Just ask
Christ.
Deliveroo about that.
Yeah.
Like there couldn't be more restaurants within walking distance of me. And every night it's just Deliveroo drivers up and down. I'm like, where are you guys ordering from? Just go. It's right there. Like I get it if you're 2 miles outside of town or something.
Yeah.
You've been drinking, so you don't want to drive. Fine. But we're around the block. And I see people ordering from the
make it
Wow
some
Burger
kind of a
that's
hunt.
there, and they're delivering there. And I'm like, don't you feel stupid when a guy on a bicycle pulls up? Is like, I brought you your food. Like,
Oh, yeah. You got to make some sort of hunt out of it. The body needs a hunt. You got to
yeah.
go. You know what I mean? But the guy, he tried. I said, did you have raw milk as a kid? He goes, oh God, yeah. He said, I'll tell you a good one. It's a couple of weeks ago. We were at a market in Limerick. I brought home some for my kids who are Irish raised. I drank some. I couldn't believe how much I hated it. And I was angry with myself because I wanted that pasteurized feeling of nothingness. He says, this was just too much milk, man.
And it's too much milk.
Yeah.
We dial down the milk.
Yeah, literally.
You got any diet milk?
But this is what he said. He was like, it was too much milk, Tom. I'm not kidding. My kids are modern kids. They fucking disgust. It was disgusting. And for me, it was ludicrous. And I give it to Natasha, who would have never had it. And she did that kind of.
Had it. Dude, the suburbs in America, it always blows Lisa away. We go home to visit my parents. You buy a loaf of bread in the supermarket and you can stick it on your shelf for a month.
Stop.
It never goes bad because it's just loaded with preservatives because it's too much bread in the bread you eat. We got bread that's been stepped on a whole
Tone
bunch
down
of times.
the bread.
Yeah.
We'll have to, it's like a Simpsons, it's like some Monty Burns come out. There's too much bread in this bread. Yep, God damn you.
Bread. Now with less bread. Now with 50% less bread.
I wonder,
do you want bread or you want 2% bread?
There's an organics crowd over in Dublin 8, I think. You should cycle down there someday because I remember Tommy James. It was a co-op. It was a big setup. It was near.
Yeah, Tommy would be mad about that stuff.
And I wonder, would they have raw milk in there? I'd be just a real good test would be you to test.
We would.
You know what I mean?
Checking out
because again,
if you've never had it, that sounds to me like something that'll explode your stomach if you've never had it. Like you'll go glug glug glug. God damn, that's good. Can I use your bathroom immediately?
I wonder because. No, Natasha wasn't. She didn't say it was strong in her stomach at all. The big thing for me is that it smelled of nothing. Nothing. And you think, oh, it will smell of more. No, it smelled of nothing. Like,
so what are we smelling in our non-raw milk?
Is
that milk additive? It's like that. It's like you ever hear somebody drive by in a fully electric car.
Yeah,
it makes that sound.
Fuck off with that.
They added that sound.
Yeah.
That's not the engine doesn't make any noise. And they know that. Yeah. So that I hate that sound. Once I found out that it was added, and then I was like, oh, some nerd was comparing engine spaceship soundtracks from some goddamn program. Oh, they had to have a meeting and they got into a really violent argument about it. Like Starfleet,
no Spaceballs, no. But that's and that's a thing that when something is undermined like that.
Yeah.
it complete when I
I
oh
would
yeah,
have no
you almost
problem if
had me.
that was the sound of an electric motor. I'd be like, that's cool. That's what batteries sound like.
Yeah.
But now that I know that there's like speakers hidden that like,
Why not go all in? I can actually
yeah,
have the
make it go wom wom
yeah,
wom
yeah.
wom. Make it play music. It just
They should have put like Spooky Dokies on it. You remember those little clackers you could put on your chopper
yes.
years ago?
Sure, there you go. I'll hear those coming.
Put it on a fucking 100 grand Tesla. Why not?
Yeah,
But I,
indeed.
I, I do remember a mate of mine he'd grown carrots in his allotment and gave it to his friend's daughter, who was a young kid who was like hummus and carrots. She just
Hummus
wanted to
and
keep.
carrots.
She minded her weight or whatever. She wanted
Eh,
but she just loved gnashing on carrots, and there were always pre-washed, pre-cut carrots from
yep.
Tesco, or whatever, in the bag. And he gave her carrots. They chopped up the carrots, gave them a wash, put them in a bowl for her, and she went, "Oh Jesus Christ!" And it was basically turn down the fucking carrot.
Turn down the carrot. There's too much carrot. I need sunglasses. I can't stare at the carrots. Like there's too much going on here.
Yeah. So that's kind of what has made vegetables and vegetarianism or whatever. But again, I'm not politically driven. How do they turn eating food political? Like, do you know,
Are
you
you
get.
kidding me?
I know, I know.
Bud Light is woke now. They
Oh,
say
sure, for
like
fuck's sake.
that's the
I mean,
most
nothing to do
ridiculous.
with Bud
Everything's
Light was piss to start with. Like, it was fucking piss.
that is the funniest part of it that everybody's arguing over Bud Light.
You're
I don't
like,
know. I
ew.
got a theory about beers in that regional beers are they're perfect for the place that they're designed to be consumed.
Yes.
So American beers are designed to be consumed while you are sitting in the sun in August at a baseball game. And it's hot. And you're going to
Yes.
need to drink about 17 of these to keep yourself cool. So they can't be that strong and they got to be light and they got to be cold. So that's why those beers are popular. You don't drink beers are not designed to be consumed outside now. They're designed to be consumed inside
Yeah.
in a pub while you're hearing about someone you knew who's died.
Yeah.
That's what a Guinness is perfect for. That's
Yes.
when you want that. So that's my theory of beer taste. So
Well,
like, yeah, Bud Light is terrible, Coors Light, all those guys. Of the light garbage beers, Miller Lite was always my jam. I just had
you could do.
the tiniest bit of flavor to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only excusable reason to drink it.
I won't keep you too long, but I'll drop this bomb on you.
Hit me.
Budweiser, all those Weisers and all those things being drank completely incorrect, according to an Austrian hunter I met one time on a skiing holiday.
Is this the crazy foam theory?
No, well, I don't know what that is, but his one
Okay.
was like prior to Budvar, whoever the family were that fucked off
Yeah.
out of Germany or
Yeah,
Austria before they went to the States with their recipe. You didn't drink the fucking, because I saw him ordering a bottle of beer, and I remember this guy. I'd met him a couple of times. Big,
Yeah.
hefty guy. He was actually a Jägermeister, which is a hunting master. Yeah, he would take people out.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's you're not supposed to drink that stuff with cola. You're supposed to fucking drink that while out in the hunt, give you a little
Yeah.
bit of,
Yep.
but it's not that strong, so it won't fuck you up.
Exactly.
But
I used to drink it while I was skiing. Just a
there you
little nip
go.
of it on the chairlift. Yep.
Guy had the big curly mustache, the whole lot, and I was drinking whatever beer, local beer it was, and he ordered a Budweiser. And Johan cracked it open for him, handed it to him with a little glass, and when turned around and went, and he goes, and the pot, because he was speaking in English to be polite, and I went, "What fucking pot now are you getting?" He goes, "Oh, but, oh yes, of course, Entschuldigung, but fucking Budweiser should not be drank cold. That is a tasteless. I may as well piss into a bottle and drink that. That's what he says. What you do. So this is the method to it, right? You don't bang it in the microwave, or whatever, but you warm water in a pot, then you pour your Budweiser into a glass and sit it into that for a minute or two
Okay.
to take it up." I went, "All right, yeah, I'll
give it a
bite.
shot.
I'll bite." Another Budweiser, which I couldn't believe I was fucking ordering, a Budweiser
And
and
a pot of warm water to
yeah.
put my glass in.
And I sat it in, and while it wasn't a very good beer, it was about the standard of the kind of beer you'd accept if you got one at holidays for €2. Do you know what I
Huh.
mean? It was 2 or 3. You're like, oh, I could drink these all day. This is actually a bit of a taste off this. The
So
actual
did
taste.
heating it up give it
Oh,
more
totally.
flavor or anything?
Totally. It was fucking like she didn't take it from the fridge either. She just took it from the shelf. She just
That's
took
like
a
the
lot.
first time somebody showed me how to add water to whiskey. And I was like, why would you water down the whiskey? And it's like, it's not watering down, dude. It's going to open it up. It's going to taste better.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. No, what I was talking about with the crazy foam theory is I went down this rabbit hole of watching a guy talk about carbonation in beers, and he's talking
Yes.
about shitty modern lagers, the kind that I drink. And he was like, there's too much carbonation in it, and there's not supposed to be. Like, you know how that pour that everybody does where it goes to here and then the head is like that. He's like,
Yes.
that's not what you want. You want to dump it in real fast so the head goes like this, and then you wait, and then you dump, and you make as much head as you possible. Because the more head that you get on it, that's all carbonation that you're not drinking. And
Yes.
so you want, like, when people are like, that's a sloppy pour. No, it isn't. You want the head to explode and then wait until it goes back down and then fill it all the way back up. And then that way, ultimately, you can drink more because you're not as full of gas.
Well, that's when you think you're actually probably drinking less volume because the gas is out of the fucking thing. Because it's a
Yeah.
cheat to
Yeah.
ram it with gas. Because you're like, what's all this fluffy stuff? Volume wise,
Exactly.
this fluffy stuff is
I'm
fucking.
here for the beer.
I'm not here having a pint at all. It's only like a fucking 3/4. The rest of it is all
Mhm.
fuzz, for fuck's sake.
Indeed.
Christ,
When's
Jim,
the next time you're back up in town, dude? We got to have a beer in
I
person. I miss you.
am. I'm not. I only barely saw. I'm back in that same bar we were in Wicklow. I
All
think
right.
like next weekend or whatever.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. That's a good gig. That's fun.
But I think I am up earlier in the day to do a very quick photo shoot.
Uh,
So in that
yeah.
that evening, it's a Friday evening, we could
Cool.
grab a beer anyway. But I'm going to try
Absolutely,
and
man.
we need to tie you in with somebody who's coming down, and have you on the hill.
I would love to come down, man.
Things are
I would
getting
love to come down.
things are getting
I've
tasty.
I've heard great things about that joint.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's one of them ones you go, this was definitely made by a
Yeah.
comedian. This club was made by a comedian,
Yes.
and they've allowed me
Yes.
to make it, if you know what I mean. And
Hmm.
it's because there's been talk now, oh geez, you surely move to another venue. I'm like, no, this is still, I'm staying with Cool. Cool is the number one thing. Even if we make a couple of quid, great, but Cool first.
Yes.
And
Make
so
it
that
make it a good gig first. Who cares about, like, we all
uh
know we're not getting rich doing this, dude.
no, 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 no. But it's a cool thing because it's spreading the word of comedy. There's people that have never, ever even thought about it. Like a guy, I've said this before on the podcast, but it was something that struck me when before this, he
Hmm.
actually came to my show in another venue just out the road. Like he went before. I thought about comedians the same way about as much as I thought about astronauts. Now he wasn't aligning us, but he was like,
Yeah.
I never
It's like
for a
occasionally there's a movie about them, and maybe I'll go
yeah.
see it.
There
Yeah.
we go. I knew there was a fellow once called Buzz, and there was Tommy Tiernan, and that's it. I never considered that you were grew from a thing
Dude,
that
you're gonna ruin a bunch of kids' lives. A bunch of kids gonna grow up in that town thinking they want to become comics.
yeah, good,
Good.
good,
Good
good,
for them.
fucking good. Let
I hope they
them,
all start open mics in whatever shitty towns they're in.
yeah, and we'll
That's the thing,
go and
dude.
we'll,
Whatever town you're in, if you're in your early 20s and you're listening to this and you get into Tom and you like comedy, just start an open mic, dude.
yeah.
You can buy one. You can buy one of these and a shitty little PA, $200. I'm sure there's a pub with a room they're not using, and just start an open mic. Just start it.
I tell you, one of the eye openers for me was Bernard Casey. It was
Yep.
Bernard Casey he put out his bat signal that he was only doing rural pubs. We would only contact him for rural pubs. And he was, I think, like he did it. Obviously, it was a good fucking made money, but he
Hmm.
did it from the point of view that rural pubs were suffering, and that he wanted to
Hmm.
spread the word of stand up comedy because he could have just
Yeah.
gone and done his own show, but he brought comics with him,
Yep.
and he did pubs, and he just send me a picture if you got a separate room to the bar, send me a picture, and we'll hook it up.
It's a
And
great idea.
he did it everywhere. He did it. I did a bunch of gigs with him, and these people just packed out, and they were just like, and they
They're like,
here's the
what
thing,
is
Jim,
this?
they all remember your name. They
Yeah.
all fucking remember your name.
Yep.
There isn't a, and here was your man that was on with the fucking Noahs. And here was your man that was on with the fucking ears. Fucker. That's the truth of
Yeah.
it, is that you're just another thing to be entertaining. Whereas if you're in these towns, you're the fucking only show, and the
There's
only
a
show that we
great
talk about for a month.
There's a great book. You know the comedian Todd Barry, of
Yeah.
course. He's got a great book that he wrote called Thank You for Coming to Hattiesburg. And he did a tour across America where that was his point. He was like, I'm not playing Philadelphia.
Class.
I'm going to find a town 2 hours outside of Philadelphia that no one ever goes to. I'm going to go to Hattiesburg. Sure. And he booked it all out, and that's what he did. That was the whole point of it, was to go places that people didn't usually go, because they got theaters, they got venue spaces. People just don't go there because they can't make as much money. And so there's, a whole couple of high schools worth of kids that got nowhere to go on Saturday night. They'll come see your shit.
There you go. And
Yeah.
this is the thing. I thought about it before, and I've looked into it, and it's like, yeah, but all of a sudden now a couple of avenues have started opening up, and I'm like,
Nice.
oh, what the fuck? 1 second here now. And not only that, but you're spreading the word of comedy. People are going,
Yes,
oh, stand-up
exactly.
comedy is a thing. We don't have to. Do you know what I mean? We
People
don't.
go, it's Friday night. What are we gonna do? You can go to dinner, you can go to the movies. That's what else is there? What can you
Nothing.
do? You can't even really go dancing anymore. 20 years ago,
No.
you could be like, we'll go to the dance club and we'll go and dance for a little bit. But that's
No.
not, those are all gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
and even yeah, it's down. Basically, we've almost no fucking competition now. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of so as Jim was saying, do open a fucking open mic and we'll get after it. Jim,
Yeah,
this
man.
has been somewhat educational. I think I learned something. I'm not entirely sure what. The foam thing, anyway. I'm there for that, and I learned how the draft pick works. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And about Beavis and Butthead.
the Beavis and Butthead one, that will be actually the as we look at each other, literally looking like Beavis and fucking Butthead. Jim is my father. There we go.
Yeah, buddy.
Jim Elliott everywhere on all the usual platforms.
Yeah,
I'll stick a link into show notes down the bottom. Go follow
brilliant.
him. He's fucking far smarter than I am.
Ah.